Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and today I'm talking about what the purpose of having easy weapons is in first-person shooters. I'll be predominantly focusing on it within Battlefield 1, but the points I'm going to make also apply to almost every other first-person shooter out there. So why are we looking at this today? Well, easy-to-use weapons are a near constant source of annoyance to many players, even those who use the very same weapons regularly, either because they're just frustrated by being killed by them, or because they feel like they're only using them because so many other people are. But let's make an important distinction here. Easy to use weapons aren't necessarily overpowered weapons, and we'll discuss that a little more in a while. But to the main point, what's the purpose of easy to use weapons? Why do we have them? Why does pretty much every shooter have them, and why shouldn't we be annoyed by their existence? Well, we have easy to use weapons so that the vast majority of players have something they can use and feel like they're being effective with. You can call that group casuals, part-timers, whatever you wish. But the long and the short of it is that most games have a majority player base of people who aren't the hardcore when it's at its peak playing numbers. Hardcore players will dictate the necessary time to learning sightlines, game mechanics, playing norms, etc. But the thing of most relevance to this conversation that they'll likely dedicate themselves to learning is how to handle recoil, spread, and where a weapon's most potent range is. This will often draw many hardcore players towards skill cannons, at least eventually, and at least to some extent, because their higher level of understanding and ability allows them to utilize a harder to use weapon that can actually achieve better potential results than an easy to use weapon. But your average casual player will not use the skill cannon for any extended length of time, and they almost certainly won't enjoy using it, in just the same way they also won't use a bad weapon for very long and also won't enjoy using that. Essentially meaning that if the game in question doesn't have a middle ground, that middle ground being easy to use weapons, then mass amounts of people probably won't feel rewarded for their time, they won't get those mini dopamine rushes for picking up a kill, and they'll probably leave the game quite quickly. Do you see the big picture here? No easy guns makes for a dead game a lot of the time. A dead game means loss of earnings for the developer and a lack of potential people for the hardcore to connect with in game, so nobody really wins. Now there are exceptions, of course. If you market a game from the outset as being hyper competitive, realistic, or just having a high skill floor and high skill ceiling, then having no or few easy to use weapons can work, but this is a much harder sell. It's much less likely to work out, and it will usually end up being a niche game rather than a big hitter, but again, there are some exceptions out there. But back to Battlefield and games like it. Easy guns still need to be balanced guns. I know some people claimed all along that the Hellriegel wasn't overpowered, but I personally feel that it was. To me, it wasn't just easy to use, it was potent in a vast number of scenarios and overly rewarded players without having to exhibit much skill. I actually think it's far more balanced now it's been altered and the TTK patch has come in, but for a long time it was the dominant SMG for a good reason. It was just too good at too many things. That's not to say it was super overpowered at everything, but when you added it all together, for me it was too strong considering how easy it was to use. Some would argue that currently the SMG 08/18 is overpowered, and I think that's an interesting topic of discussion. I don't think it's as easy to use as the Hellriegel was, or potentially even is now, and it's very limited at range, which the Hellriegel wasn't particularly, at least not at mid-range, but at the same time, the SMG 08 does feel some way better than many other options, and not just easier to use. It's a combination of being not that difficult and being very strong. So it is possible for the developer to get it wrong, and then you have a problem. Too easy to use and too potent, you get a god gun that the community will likely use en masse, which breaks balance and variety within the game. But when executed correctly, you get weapons that are easy for all to use but don't overly reward the individuals using them. A more skilled player will still beat the lesser skilled player if they're using the same weapon or a skill cannon that they're adept with, whilst at the same time the lesser skilled player doesn't feel like they're entirely useless at the game. This keeps the game alive. We need easy to use weapons. We shouldn't be mad about them, but we need them to not tip over into being overpowered. That's where the frustration lies. So tell me what you think the easy to use weapons are in Battlefield 1. The weapons that you feel don't require as much skill or knowledge to use at a decent level, but also aren't overpowered. Let me know in the comments below. Now let's go over to the Board of Awesome for the epic people who allow you to get content from me full time by supporting the channel on Patreon. They are the main reason you're watching this video right now. So thanks to everyone on here. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you don't want to miss future videos, including the upcoming new weapon and weapon variant reviews from the latest patch, turn on notifications with the bell button and select to always be notified with the options tab that should then pop up, and then feel free to like, share and subscribe. I'm GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters.